All right. Well, hey, everyone. Thank you very much for joining our first edition of In the Showroom with Car Wars. I'm Mike Haig, and we are excited to be with you and just kind of unveiling a series of conversations with dealers, with interesting, smart, progressive, humble dealers that are looking to take their dealership to the next level. And I think today we've got somebody who checks all those boxes and potentially more. Really excited to be joined by Chris from Phil Long Ford of Chapel Hills. He eagerly raised his hand and said he'd be willing to hop in and talk about what makes him tick and what makes his dealership go for this edition of In the Showroom. So Chris, first things first, I can hear myself loud and clear. How are you doing? Hopefully we can hear you.
Yep, we've got you, Mike.
Awesome. Well, how are things going in your neck of the woods in Colorado?
Could be doing better. The times are tough, but the market's been great for us, and we've just taken off ever since all this stuff started.
Good. Well, yeah, I think we'll chat a little bit about that today. It's almost hard not to. I feel like every conversation I have with a dealer is kind of, hey, let's talk business, but also this elephant in the room. So we can get to that. First, tell us about yourself. A little birdie told me you've been in the industry quite a while and you've kind of worked your way up. What does that look like?
Yeah, well, I started here with Phil Long in December of 2002. I came out to Colorado. I was in the Air Force. When I got out, I went looking for a job and ended up at this dealership. So sold cars for 11 months, went into finance, spent my whole career in finance. And when this opportunity presented itself, I was able to grab it and run with it.
So 18, I think it's 18 years, started just selling cars,
Yep.
post Air Force, and then moved into finance, and then here we are. And that entire time with the Phil Long Automotive Group?
Yes. One store all the way through. Yep.
Man, that's crazy. Tell us about, let's do this. Tell us about your store. What is it? How, where are you located? What does the team look like? What does it look like in relation to your group? Because Phil Long obviously is a group with other stores. Kind of what does your management look like? Things like that.
Well, we're located in the north end of Colorado Springs. So if anyone's familiar with the Air Force Academy, it's right across the street from us. We've got a beautiful demographic. The economy's phenomenal. It feels like we're a little bit insulated here with what we have. We're supported a lot by military and government. We've got 5 military bases in town, a lot of retirees. Management team is very stable. We've been together a long time. So a lot of us have grown up together. We've watched each other raise kids. We've watched everyone kind of grow up, if you will. So we've got a real close-knit team. And I like to think that we are the flagship store in the Phil Long Group.
Yeah, I kind of envision my time in Colorado Springs. It's a big city, air quotes, but not really a big city. Kind of a tight-knit community, especially probably with that military feel, where that's just such an important part of the culture in the community, probably for your customers, I imagine. I mean, that's who you're working with.
Absolutely. But
yeah.
It's an excellent area. like I said, I came out here in 2009, or no, excuse me, in 1999, I came out here, and Michigan was home prior to this, and I never looked back. I knew this was the place I wanted to be, and I raised my family here, started a family here, and continue to enjoy it.
Awesome. So Chris is the GM. Tell me about Chris's day. What does a day look like in your world? I mean, from start to finish, time in the dealership. What are you focusing on? What do your relationships look like, or conversations with your team look like? What are the non-negotiables that this is what I do? What does that look like for a GM like yourself?
For me, it's an early day. I get to the store usually between 6:45 and 7. I try to get here before the service team gets here, but I'm a big prepper. I like to get in my office at that time and kind of set up and prep the day. We have an 8:30 managers meeting every day. Like I said, non-negotiable on that side of it, but we meet as a team and review what needs to be reviewed for the day. But like I said, I'm a firm believer in prepping. I like to know what's going on. I like to touch all the data and just make sure that we set ourselves up for a successful day.
What did you say? 6:45? That's probably earlier than a lot of other GMs or managers I've worked with. Some definitely, but some are. You're getting up. You're getting at it. I like it.
Yeah.
Is there a little bit of military in that? Is that?
Yeah, a little bit of there. But it's probably the best time of the day for me because it's uninterrupted. At 8:30, once the
Yeah.
team starts arriving, I mean, it's a constant knock on the door from there. I mean, we got a trade walk at 9:15. Once we're done with that, the team heads out for a trade walk. And then we come back and we get our day set up. So, but each one of our managers has a task at hand. They know what they got to do to set up their day. And then we just let the day take care of itself.
Nice. Yeah. Now those mornings, you're right. I mean, just that you get to be selfish for an hour or two of just, this is my time. And if I didn't believe that you were a busy guy and things came in fast, just so everyone that's watching, as we were preparing for this, something came up and Chris had to go manage it real quick before we started recording. So that's probably a pretty good indicator of what anything might look like.
Yeah.
That's you mentioned just that's the day. You mentioned data. I mean, you just kind of off, loose mention of data. What does that mean? I mean, that can go in a million different directions. But what does that mean for you, and what is the data that you care about?
Well, the one thing I think we're really good in the Philong organization is reporting. So we review, sales graphs every day. So we look for trends, we look for opportunities. I mean, we dig in as far as anything from appointments and traffic, obviously to trends of where we're heading with their sales, grosses, different things like that. So, I mean, that's master log reports, we call it. And we dig in and look for opportunities with sales consultants, ones that may not be performing, but we can see where they're struggling. And that's the stuff I like to submerge myself in. So when I get into that 8:30 meeting, we can task each other with what we're supposed to do and who we need to touch and how we're going to continue to push the team.
Gotcha. So what's something, I mean, you can use your discretion here, but what's something that might stick out? What, if you're looking at some of this data, what might make you either good or bad potentially, or something concerning or exciting that might make you say, that's worth spending more time in today?
Right. A lot of our stuff that we've dealt with lately has been a big, deep dive into traffic management. I mean, getting into the numbers, seeing what we're doing with the leads, seeing who's, how many leads this sales consultant is taking versus their closing percentage, and just looking for the opportunity there. Because I mean, coming out of finance for all these years, that's something I really never bothered myself with. I had my job back there. I lived in my finance world, and we did our things. But coming out here and just starting to learn and to see the layers in what we need to do on a daily basis, the activities we need to manage every day to get the result that we're looking for. And when you see a guy that's diving into him, 10, 15 leads a day, and he's not being successful doing that, we can go back and look and see exactly what he's doing. So we'll get into the systems. We'll look at exactly the phone calls he's making. We listen to those. We'll go through and look at, the cadence he has when he's responding to the internet lead, just to make sure that they're doing the right thing. If there's any help we can give them, we've got plenty of guys here that support this team that as soon as we identify the problem, we can get them right on there and we can fix it.
I like that. I like that last part because it's not so much, I mean, sometimes we're really good at finger pointing or kind of finger wagging sometimes at performance. But what does that actually look like to snap your fingers and get somebody on there? Because I'm sure it's a big store. You've got I'm sure a good solid management crew.
Sure.
What do they do? What does that conversation look like to get somebody to go from mediocre to great or bad to great or good to great?
Here's one of the conversations I had with one of the young men today. He does a fairly decent job. I mean, he's 15, 18 cars a month. He's been doing a great job, but as we dig in and we see exactly how he's handling the traffic, there's opportunity there. Now, this is a guy that we can consider kind of a seasoned veteran salesperson, but there's so much more if he would just learn some of the things that we've introduced the team to. We've opened up a BDC, an actual structured BDC that we have started training out of. And I've asked him, I said, just take 24 hours your day, your day, whether it's your day off or it's a regular work day, and go spend one day with the BDC team down there and learn the right way to handle a phone call, learn the right way to submit, to send out an email template, what to say, what not to say, how to use the tools that we have here at the dealership. And it's going to take you to a whole nother level. And my first question to those guys was, do you trust me? And he said, yes, I trust you. And I said, well, just do this and watch what happens to your paycheck. And he's committed to do that next week. So we'll see where it goes.
That's awesome. That's, in our world, I'm more on the vendor side, the technology side, that's kind of akin to depending on what your role is, go sit with the support team for a day, you know, or if you're on support, go join a sales call or a training call and just kind of see what that does. Cause those bridges are really important to know. And that BDC is doing things right that you can learn from. And you're not going to learn unless you go immerse yourself. Just sit there, listen for a day, take notes. That's awesome. No, that's great. That's well worth his time. What about like group training? Do you do, okay, that's kind of one-on-one. That's one-on-one coaching or mentoring. I love that, dude. Trust me. What about as a group or an organization?
Group training kind of went out the window in March. We had gotten some pretty good structure every day at 11 o'clock. We had group training. You know, it was about a half hour long, and we were starting to get some traction with that. And unfortunately, we kind of had to pull the plug on that. Just not being able to meet as a group and sit in a room and go through the things that we were going through. Now more of it's gone to a one-on-one. So it's very small groups. It's manager interaction, sitting with the guys and reviewing, you know, their daily activities and what it is. So the training that we have now, we're kind of just taking on a new pilot, if you will, with like what I just said, is going to spend the day with this team, and that they're going to show you the right behaviors that we're looking for.
Yeah. Nice. Do you, I like how you said earlier, we want to be the flagship Phil Long store, or we are maybe the flagship Phil Long store. I'm curious for your group, what kind of cross-pollination is there? Is there much? Do you work with or talk to their GMs and kind of learn from their processes and learn from their world?
We lead up a management call. There's another general manager and myself. We meet with all the general managers in the group and go over just different ideas, best practices. I believe we have a very progressive team here. We brought some guys in that are not, if you will, car guys. They came from the vendor world, and they brought a different perspective into the dealership and showed us things that I think the other stores are lacking. So I get to share a lot of what I learn every day from my team with these guys to help hopefully improve them.
I was talking to Adam on your team earlier, who's awesome on your marketing team, and I think he's one of those that came from the vendor world and joined your team, and which just brings a world of knowledge. But he mentioned something that it's rare for a GM to really dive into certain things, or at least from his experience. So, maybe from various digital marketing metrics or just the nitty gritty of certain things with digital advertising. Sometimes there can be a little bit of, okay, just checks the box, I'm out. But he said that you just kind of dove in and asked hard questions and kind of rose your hand and said, I don't know this stuff. I'm willing to learn, or I'm humbled and wanting to learn that. And there was a good progression of you getting smarter and smarter in that. I mean, tell me about that. Is that a control thing? You just like to be in control and know stuff?
Yeah. I don't think it's a control thing now, but it intrigues me. I mean, this is my career. When I was in finance, I'd like to think I was the guy in the company that anyone can come to say, what do I do here? And I knew what to do there. So taking on this new role 2.5 years ago, this is stuff I had no idea about. And unfortunately, there was no book they handed me when it started. I had to surround myself with the right people and, learn from them. So I truly believe that you're only as good as your team. And if we build the best team, we will get the results that we're looking for. So, but no,
that's awesome. Yeah.
Never stop learning.
Yeah. I've come to realize that very often in my career, whenever I'm looking for that book that'll just solve all my problems, I realize it doesn't exist. Whatever book I'm looking for, there's a lot of books out there, but very often it's just experience or just making mistakes or asking questions and just trying is the key piece. Let me ask you this. We'll kind of wind down here. So two things. One, where do you see the next 3 months to 4 months with, there's this elephant in the room again, this wonderful COVID that we're still working through and managing. What have you changed, that you think you see is working? What do you see yourself doing the next 3 to 4 months? How are you going to continue to serve your customers, serve your people, despite this thing that we're all working through?
Well, I'll touch on some of the stuff that we changed. That we worked really hard to try to get into the digital retailing world, and we talked a lot about it, Adam and I. I mean, something we really wanted to do. I'll be honest, it was probably 2-3 years away at the pace we were progressing. And then when the COVID happened, I mean, it was almost an overnight deal for us. So, I mean, we were closed for one day. I remember that day we shut the store down. I had to call back. I ended up picking 3 of my managers to come back. The 3 guys I brought back in were the 3 that I felt best suited to play the game that we had to play now. So 8 sales guys came back, again, not the most high performer guys, the guys I knew could play this game. And as we developed the process, we were able to, we kind of took off. And that was what was neat about it, is we took these 8 guys and these 3 managers, the doors were locked, and we turned April into a successful April. We beat April year over year with the doors locked. And we, those 8 guys slowly started introducing people into the program and teaching them the process. And it was probably about 3 or 4 phases in April of people coming back. And once people stopped standing on the pad, waiting for something to happen, and they got in the back. I mean, we had people spread out throughout this whole dealership. And we had 5-man pods throughout the dealership, and they would just work on their activities, answer leads, and it blew us away to see how well we did under those kind of circumstances. And then May, I think we figured it out. They let us unlock the doors, and we haven't stopped since then. And we've taken the format to where everybody's an internet guy. There's not 7 or 10 guys trying to handle all these leads. The whole store is open to do it as long as you're willing to follow our process. And it's working. We're getting more with less, if you will. So it's been really good.
Yeah. Well, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask one more thing here, but or a couple more questions. But one, just where does the phone fit in that, right? So we're here to help dealers on the phone. What has your philosophy changed about the phone in the past couple months, about the importance of it, or if not, what is your philosophy on the phone, on inbound and outbound calls?
Well, in this period of time, it has really enlightened me with your guys' help to what we are actually saying on the phone. And now we're measuring that on a daily basis. So we do listen to every phone call that comes inside of here, just to look for opportunities. And we have a way to alert the team to take action on that phone call, good, bad. I mean, we look for the wins, we look for the bad ones. Everybody's getting trained, and it's so important. When that phone rings, I mean, it's just like someone walking into dealership. If you know how to handle it, it's going to be, that much more likely to convert. That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that do more with less attitude matters on the phone quite a bit too, right?
Well, Mike, when I started this, we wanted to sell more cars. Well, what's the answer to that? Drive more traffic and get more leads. That was what we said. I mean, let's get more people in the store. Let's spend more money advertising. We weren't handling what we were already paying for properly. So now spend any more money. I mean, we've already got the traffic. Now we've just got to teach our people, invest in the people to do the right things, and we can get more with what we got. And that's kind of the mantra we try to beat the drum to. And it's been working for the last 120 days. So
whenever that first time when you brought us in, I guess sometimes a lot of dealers I work with, there's kind of a good news, bad news situation. It's hey, potentially bad news. If you haven't really spent time on training and phones, they could need some work. This might not be pretty when we look under the hood. But then the good news is often, but if you think you're doing pretty well as a store now, think about how much meat is on the bone. Kind of like you were talking about with the gentleman earlier. It's like, hey, you're selling 18 to 21 cars, but I've got good news. I've got good news that these are all things that you could work on or maybe aren't great. And look what that runway looks like if you just kind of capitalize on those missing opportunities. And that's what gets a lot of dealers I work with excited. It's kind of like, oh crap, but okay, this is good. This is a good problem to have.
Yeah. Well, the good thing, I mean, we set a record in June. We just beat it in July, and there's, like you said, there's more meat on the bone. We're just starting to scratch the surface and find out what we really have here. And I told the guys yesterday, I said, when we stop, sometimes for me, I feel like maybe I'm getting too negative on things, or we're constantly looking at stuff. But so guys, don't forget, you just set a record. And we just did something that was huge.
Yeah.
It's never been done. And I try to remind the team that's what we just did. But at the end of the day, there's still more. And the day that we stop looking for more, the day we stop digging into the phone calls, to stop digging into the leads, is a day that I believe that we're either going to stop or we're going to start to decline. And every day we have conversations in the morning. And I think it makes everyone a little uncomfortable, and we go out and we keep going because it's not good enough what we're doing right now.
Yeah. All right, one more question here. This has been awesome. Let me ask you this. And let's say in 3 years, when you're still GM there and you've been rocking and rolling, and you look back and you say, man, the past 3 years have been really good. I'm really proud of what we did. What does that mean? What does that mean for you to look back in 3 years and say, I'm really proud of my team because of blank?
Well, I automatically go to a result there. I mean, there's a couple goals. There's a vision that we have here at the dealership. I mean, we want to be obviously sales effective with Ford Motor Company, #1 Ford dealer in the state of Colorado, #1 Ford dealer in the region, and we'll be top 100 in the country. I mean, that's what we're striving for. Last month, we missed top 100 by 1 unit, and I know we're going to get it there. So in 3 years, we're going to sit back and we're going to laugh of all the pain that we went through to get there. I don't know if we'll stop. I mean, we're still going to continue to push.
Yeah.
The biggest thing at this store is it's just the team. I mean, if you don't have the people, we can't do anything that we do on a daily basis.
Yeah.
I truly believe heavily in the team, supporting them and just pushing them. But it's going to be 3 years from now, it's going to be great.
whoever beats you by 1 unit, I hope they're not sleeping very well at night, because there's a big old bullseye in somebody's back out there.
Yeah, we're coming.
Hopefully they realize what they did there. They woke a sleeping bear is probably the best way to put it. Whoops. Well, Chris, this has been awesome. Thanks for taking the time to do this. Like I said when we kicked this off, this is some of we're hoping to have our smart, intelligent, humble, hardworking dealers on here, and you check those boxes, serving your people, serving the community, and that's awesome. The side of the dealership that a lot of times people don't get to see or hear enough in the dealer community or in your community even. So thank you again, and happy selling. Go find that unit. Go find that one car.
It was fun. We'll do it again.
All right, man.